in that period, you would say that a lot of moments in your life as you were pretty much falling off the cliff were a point of time where a lot of bad habits probably showed themselves, right?
Mhm.
Like you start reaching for a lot of things, like as you're falling off the cliff, you're kind of reaching for the rock, right? To like kind of help you get back to the top.
Mhm.
Were there any points of time, and if you could help the listener and viewer understand how do you avoid these bad habits, and if you did get bad habits, what did you do to make sure that they did not continue in your life cycle?
So with that, when I noticed I was getting a bad habit, at first, usually with myself, like I would ignore it, which is the thing. That's what's not to do. Do not ignore it. Always like take in consideration of what you're doing. And I'll just think to myself, is this these habits that I'm doing, what is the benefit coming out of it? Like for an example, like like I said with the whole knees thing and like not be able to play, like, like I would get frustrated, like I'll tell myself, like, no, not to get mad, but yeah, I still keep on getting mad, which my bad habit is I do have a short temper when things are not going my way with my own self. So I would get really upset and I would just tend to block things out or just tend to ignore people when in reality people are just trying to just help me out or trying to help find a solution. So I was just being just hard headed basically. I was just trying to think, oh, I could do it on my own, when in reality that's not the point. And so eventually what I did to help break that habit was that I try to be more accepting and more just trying to open my mind and try to take those opinions in from other people of what to do. Like, maybe don't do it, or maybe you don't go out, or maybe just like, try to do there's a method called RICE. I think it was rest, ice, elevate, and oh, no. Rest, ice, compress, and elevate. That's what it
Yeah.
was. That's what it was. And basically, like I started doing that and it was getting better little by little. So, I feel like, if people offer advice, don't always shut it away. Try to take into consideration or try to apply it to your daily life because may never know that something could actually be very beneficial when it's right there for you.
I have to say, there's been moments in my life where things are just going wrong, right? And
Yeah.
like everybody is like trying to help you and trying to give you their advice,
Hmm.
and you're trying to take it with like trying to take the advice to help you, but there's like so much information being thrown at you at once. You're
You
just
just
like,
don't know what to
I
do.
don't know what to do, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do I do in this situation? Like whose advice do I really follow? Was there a point in time, Will, that you grabbed any bad habits that you wish you didn't have, or was there any point at all that like the bad habits continued in your bouncing back at your current moment now?
There were 100% bad habits that I picked up, especially in the beginning. I picked up really bad habits, which I won't share. But through the process of bouncing back, you have to break those habits. Essentially, a full bounce back is breaking through all of those habits that you've developed during that time.
And that's see, like those moments of like when you break through a bad habit, it's like a crazy awesome feeling. You're just
It's a
like,
wonderful
dude,
feeling.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing awesome now. Cheyenne, what did you in your period of bouncing back? Did you pick up any good habits? Like I know we're like talking a lot about negative energy here, but like let's throw some positive energy out there. Like good habits that you kind of took on, anything that you would recommend to the listener or viewer.
Uh, One of the main things that I kind of latched onto as a good habit was always keeping my mind focused on something that wasn't like where all the negative energy in my life was located. So like I would enjoy movies or I would listen to music and I at times like I would make my own music, especially like when I was sad and depressed and I didn't want to think about like what I had going on in my life to an extent where it would just drag me down. Definitely keeping myself grounded, with surrounding myself with just good and positive vibes really helped me maintain this level of happiness while everything was going around. And that ultimately led to me bouncing back.
It really helped you show like not only do bad habits exist, but you, honestly, when we get into situations where so much negative energy is surrounding us, like sticking to the core things that you love to do, especially like listening to music, doing hobbies, just figuring out what your core good habits are and allowing those to shine in dark moments are honestly those moments when you do break through and you're just like, I'm thankful for whatever. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for that. I have to say, like, podcasting, it has to be something new that I discovered for myself that I really enjoyed. Was like, this is a great habit to pick up, and I kind of started setting other bad habits aside. So to the listener and viewer, honestly, don't be afraid of new experiences or new hobbies or anything, especially when you're in a moment of like a fall off a cliff. You're reaching for anything. You're reaching to grab anything. So if you reach for the bad things, of course you're going to receive you're going to also learn in those experiences to what's a bad habit and what's a good habit. But in the end, when you stick to core things and try to find new experiences that help you push yourself to the next to bouncing back, you really discover a lot about not only yourself, but also the people around you who are giving you the advice, who are helping you get through whatever you're going through.
Or who aren't.
Or who aren't. Yeah, exactly. I do have to agree. The kind of, a lot of people show their true colors.